Hello, welcome to Devo. My hope fans don't punch anything very hard. They're pretty soft, actually. Anyway, hello. This is 9616. This is Fox. I'm Trot. We're Foxtrot. You're Little Trot. And this is the superhero edition of announcements. Woo! Woo! We tried really hard on this one.
All right, forward trees, let's begin. Woo! Also, none of you have given us money. Actually, like a handful of them. All right, it is now too late to sign up. Maybe you feared that you had not made a sign-up sheet. It's okay. Come to our meeting after Devo, and we'll tell you more about it.
Credit cards accepted.
No.
This is a life motto. That's right.
Always be yourself, unless you can be a superhero. Then be yourself. Next, t-shirt sales. We're selling CC t-shirts. Those shirts. Final day to sign up is next Tuesday. And if you want to pay for your shirts with your card, go for it. Cards accepted. Next.
Wednesday singing. As we do as the first Wednesday of every month, we're going to dedicate our Bible class to singing. So if you have any suggestions or if you have any songs that you don't really know, put them in our suggestion box and we'll pull from them tomorrow night. It's a really cool way to learn new songs and just be with some fun. On the front door.
Small groups this Thursday and talk every Thursday at 8 o'clock until this place closes in 2025. Girls has not broken out yet, so you can always join. Guys, we have this special small group day. It's going to involve bacon and large sausage meats. So, if you like, cooking meat,
All right.
and learning about the Bible.
That's the important part.
That's the important part here. That's what small group is for. If you ask anyone else, small group is where you make your convictions, sit down for 2 hours, you say, let's learn about each other.
And the Bible.
There you go.
I may leave at like midnight, so I apologize. Anyway, still wanted to play fantasy football. See our good pal Ben.
Ben, how are you?
Hi, Ben. Hey, Ben. Okay. Yeah, it's still happening.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad this one fell on me. It would have been real awkward. Anyway, intramurals are free. So this fall, they're going to have basketball, dodgeball, indoor volleyball, and football and indoor soccer. The dates are to be announced later. We'll deal with that later.
Where are the
Most
question marks for?
important thing is because they don't have information on their site on that.
Okay.
So dodgeball, I think it's just one big game of dodgeball, September 23rd.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. So maybe we'll join it. Anyway, the most immediate thing here, the thing you need to all take away is flag football. I need you to tell me or sign up tonight if you want to play. The registration closes Thursday at 5. We have to be paid by then. So if you guys want to play flag football, co-rec recreation team, Monday, Wednesdays at 5 p.m. I need to know, like, now, except after Evo. Now, yes, thank you.
There's a sign-up sheet on the board.
There's a
Yeah,
sign up
for all of
sheet.
them.
Thank
For all of
you.
them.
Tell us
Thank
what
you.
you want.
You go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, of course, follow us on social media for Full Orgson S, or S is actually how we're calling it, Orgs. That's not what you have in school. Remember the prayer box and the song suggestion box up front. Also, $2 lunches Monday and Wednesdays, 11:30 to 1. Bring your friends. This is their first time. It's free for you to. Don't forget that you also have library print points, $10 every semester, and we have free printing here. Color and black white. Library computers are for you. Capital you in this room. So log in at 0000. That's it. There you go. Good to go. Also, this is the fun. This team yellow. Team yellow. Wow.
This is basically 90%.
It's basically 90%.
Yeah, Preacher's Crown, right?
Anyway, most of the CC that plays is Team Yellow. And we do some more fun as we advance. So that's did you do this? Is this you?
Yeah.
Did you do that?
Maybe.
Did you watch 2 seasons over Labor Day? I think that's early.
Anyway, just move on.
2 seasons over Labor Day. Work tonight.
Alright, I gotta lose this. Okay, it's my favorite time of the week yet again. Also, it is the week of birthdays. We have like 12 birthdays this week. So it is Tamara's birthday, but she's not here. Hers is today, so shoot her a text message. Kaylee's was yesterday, Chris's was last Friday, and then Jamie's is tomorrow. So since Jamie's the only one that's here, we'll go ahead and sing her an early happy birthday. Ready? Uno, dos, tres. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jamie. And the other people who did come. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, we love you. In other news, Labor Day weekend was pretty awesome. I did nothing. Yeah, did you have a good time?
Yeah.
And then the other good news, it's only a 4-day week. Yeah.
And we got fall retreat.
And bar retreats this weekend.
Leaving Friday. Make sure to meet in the back.
Yes,
Please.
meet afterwards. Any other good news?
Paid or not.
Any other good news?
Wait, clarify. Anybody who's going to fall retreat needs to meet back there? Cool. Making sure.
All right, that's all I got.
Good luck, good luck. All right. Next. You know, sometimes it takes me a second to like switch from like that.
Yeah, well, I saw you get out of character there. Take the gloves off.
It's like, yeah. So I need left prayer.
Do you want this side, that side? Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Coolio. Right on.
Does anyone want to volunteer for prayer? Right? You're not really doing this.
Father, thank you for this day's goodness. Another day of life. So it's not take our friends and our families for granted. Just cherish each moment we have in this world. Do our best to be an example for you to share good news. Your son, in the faithful and confident. Father, be with us in this invited state of mind as we go to you with this next few minutes. Help us to take hear the songs that we sing, praise that we give to you. Take all of these things from our heart. See our minds and see our hearts and see our love for you. Through your son's name. 1 second.
What do you do with the joke? No.
That was great.
I hear this.
Oh, it's my song. Switch from. Alright. Is my ear, O Lord, my God. Take me to your door this day. I will serve no other God. Lord, I'm here to stay, for you have paid the price for me. With your blood, you ransomed me. I will serve you eternally. A free man I'll never be. So pierce my ear, O Lord, my God. Take me to your door this day. I will serve no other God. Lord, I'm here to stay. Restore my spirit, Lord, I need restored. My heart is weary, please help me, dear Lord. I stand in need of more strength from your word. Renew my love, rebuild my faith, oh, restore my soul. Renew my courage, Lord, it needs restore. My cup is empty, refill it, dear Lord. Replace all doubts and fears with faith so bold. Renew my love, rebuild my faith, oh, restore my soul. Renew the fire, Lord, deep in my soul. Stir my desire to work in your fold. Replace all doubts and fears with faith so bold. Renew my love, rebuild my faith, oh, restore my soul. Now this is another one. I don't know if y'all know it or not, but I had to make this slide, so you may or may not know this. Pretty easy one to pick up though. Don't you want to go to that land? Don't you want to go to that land? Don't you want to go to that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound? Nothing but love in that land, nothing but love in that land. Nothing but love in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Nothing but peace in that land, nothing but peace in that land. Nothing but peace in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Nothing but joy in that land, nothing but joy in that land. Nothing but joy in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. I've got a Savior in that land. I've got a Savior in that land. I've got a Savior in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. a Savior in that land. I've got a Savior in that land where I'm bound. Happy am I, Jesus is mine forever and to be. Always in each and never leading me on. Into life ending, never giving a smile, every mile. Happy am I, happy am I. All of my sins forgiven, what a great day. Life's now worth the living, one of these days. I'll be enjoying heaven now that I know onward I go. Happy am I, happy am I. How can I help but shout it every day? Telling the world about that Jesus is real. Only believe, don't doubt it, then you will be happy like me. Happy am I. Why did my Savior come to earth and to the humble go? Why did he choose a lowly birth? Because he loved me so. He loved me so. He loved me so. He gave his precious life for me, because he loved me so. Why did he drink the bitter cup of sorrow, pain, and woe? Why on the cross be lifted up? Because he loved me so. He loved me so. He loved me so. He gave his precious life for me, because he loved me so. If I don't get into heaven, if I don't get into heaven, if I don't get into heaven, it will be nobody's fault. How many people remember this song from last year? We sang this song everyone. See it. Alright, do you remember this song? Alright, you guys have a hand holding up concert here. This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears, all nature sings and the rustling grass, I hear him pass. He speaks to me everywhere. This is my Father's will. Oh, let me never forget that though the wrong seems oft so strong, God is the ruler yet. This is my Father's work. The battle is not done. Jesus who died shall be satisfied, and earth and heaven be one.
I guess I'll introduce you here. For anyone that needs a Bible, Alex and Cody will give them to you. You raise your hands. Keep them raised. Tonight, our speaker is David Schonhoff. For those of you who haven't been to Central yet, he is the pulpit minister there. He's an amazing guy. He will talk your socks off about whatever you want, Bible related, and more if you ask him. He's a great guy to have lunch with, and you guys ever want to have lunch. And he's always right across the street if you guys ever need anything. So before I take up any more time than I have, wow.
That was one of the best introductions I think I've ever had. Appreciate it. I did get a standing ovation once, speaking for a Civitans group, but it was before I started speaking. As they introduced me, they thought that was great, and I got a great applause, and then after that, nothing. So who knows what might come up next. Craig asked me to talk about struggling with doubt. I heard something on the radio today I thought I'd share with you because I have my doubts about the girl. Did she know or not know? She was there in the courthouse, married this guy on the steps, and in a matter of just a little bit of time, the police came along and took the guy off to jail. He was an escaped convict. And I'm thinking, did you not know what you were marrying? Maybe not. Girls watch it, okay? They might not have found out, this is the second part of it, except when they came in and asked him for an ID, he used his prison ID, his photo ID from there. So it's like, doubly, do you have doubts about some people you see or hear about? I'm wondering about their brains. I have some doubts about it. But truly, I have doubts. I have doubts no matter who you are, where you've been, whatever title you wear, and I'd rather wear the title friend than the preacher right here with the CSC people because these are my buddies. And I love being here, and I think a lot of y'all. But it doesn't matter about the title. Satan comes at us no matter who we are, even after the Son of God, you and I. And he's there. We're facing, I think, a very trying time. And doubts are a part of living. No matter if you're an SD or a campus minister, you've got it together. You might be spiritually on top of the world one day, and the next morning, you're trying to figure out, does God exist or not? And I'm speaking from experience, not reading. And I've been there. I fully understand what David wrote when he wrote in Psalm 22, verse 1. My God, why have you forsaken me? Now that, of course, was quoted by Jesus on the cross. But it was a feeling that David had. The David that slew Goliath, the David that led Israel to so many victories, the David that was incredibly great. He made some mistakes, more than that. And yet, the guy had it together. He was called by God the man after God's own heart. And yet one moment he's breathing out, God, the Lord is my shepherd. I don't need anything else. And the next moment, Psalm 23, he's doing one, Psalm 22, it's, why have you forsaken me? We have doubts. Before I get into the scriptures here, I thought it'd be interesting for us to just talk about, and I don't want you to tell me what your doubt is. You can just make up. I have some friends, and they have a doubt like this. It might be yours, it might not be. You know how we do in psychology. We come up, I have a friend that has this problem. The psychologist says, yeah, tell me what your friend has when he's talking about himself. So if you've got a friend that has a doubt, what is it? What causes doubts about God doing whatever, or God existing? Anybody? Clark already said he had a problem about raising hands tonight. Let's see if we can change that some. Clark, we're going to move this around. We're going to have some participation wherever he's left. Thanks, Clark. Oh, by the way, I need to do a shout out. I'm sure Walter's watching tonight, and I asked him Sunday. He came by visiting at church. So, hi, Walter. Glad you're here. All right, back to doubts. Walter? You can't raise your hand. Anybody else? Doubts? Come on. Yes. What doubts do you know about, or why do people have doubts? I'm going to tell this side over here that the overwhelming pressure from especially the biology, and we can also say other, like archaeology and other departments, of the professors that say God does not exist, and they're shoving it in your face. And they're telling it as if, and they do, they're absolutely sure. You don't know anything. You're just a freshman, or even a senior, whatever it is. And of course, they have their PhD. I have a teacher back in electronics class, and he said that BS, we know what BS is, and he says MA is more of it, and PhD means piled high and deep. So that's kind of his take on degrees and terminology. But nonetheless, yeah, come on now, it's not that great. They don't know everything. They have a degree hanging after the name. They've earned some credits. But there are other people that have also earned equally the same, that have a strong belief in God because of having studied the very same thing. So you hold on to that. But here, what else? What? Anybody else? Yes.
People that I've seen, they're like, why would God let us suffer so much?
Why would God let us suffer? And not a generic thing out here, because that exists. Like, why would God let the world suffer, or these people suffer? But why is God letting my friends suffer, my family suffer, or me suffer because they're suffering? Christy.
I think one doubt is like maybe not necessarily doubting that God exists, but doubting that He's like your God is personal, and like He's there for you.
Okay, doubting that God is a personal God, not necessarily that He doesn't exist. We believe that part, but does He really care about me? Does He know what I'm up to? Does He know I'm sitting back in the corner or having a difficulty? That's where mine is. But sometimes, and I'm telling you the truth, because I told Craig, he said, I want you to draw from your background and your experiences. Maybe when you were in the infantry in Vietnam, I said, I believed in God then. I was praying all the time. It was after that, after becoming a Christian, after being baptized, that the doubts really hit. The doubts hit when I was a missionary, after having given up family and home and going through the struggles of learning, really learning the culture and identifying the people and doing all this and giving up everything, and yet still no child for my family, for me, my wife. And besides that, having lost all the money that we'd invested in the house, and it went down the tubes, and I don't know what all else is going on. It's like, okay, and honestly, I'm sitting there thinking, does God really exist or not? I'm supposed to be a missionary. I'm teaching the Bible. I know what it says. But inside, I kept thinking, what if it's all just a farce? And that was the thought I had. And I'll tell you what I did, and then how I got out of that hole, because it was a deep hole. I can remember one day it was so deep that I was sitting in our office area talking with my fellow missionaries, a team of 5 of us. And I said, guys, I feel so low today, so beaten down. I don't even want to think about trying to get up because I feel like I'm going to get kicked right back down. I'd just rather stay down. I don't even want to try today. That sound like a missionary? But that's how I felt. And I know he does it to you because he works on every one of us in a lot of different ways. There's an interesting passage that talks about that Satan comes to steal, rob, and name several things, but it's like steal our joy. If he can't get you to go to hell, he'll drive you crazy going to heaven. He will steal or rob anything he can from you. There's a time, or was a time, that I was afraid to make friends. Because every time I get close to somebody, something started happening to them. And I thought, really, and I wonder still if Satan wasn't doing to me through them, harming me, because I get close to it and something happens. I think, okay, so don't get too close to me. Unless you really want to challenge. But it worked on me. And it caused me to doubt in my prayers. And why is all this happening? And I know, without a doubt, that not just the professors, that's a part of it. But he'll do what he can to take you apart piece by piece. I don't have all the answers. I talk like it. My kids know better. Now they're grown up, they're older than y'all. I'll tell you what, it's scary being the oldest guy in this building. You know, I'm looking out here, it's like, put all of y'all together, and I'm about that old. You know? I'm not there. But for all the experience and the time and the whatever, the pile high and deep, I don't have it all together, and I don't have all the answers, and I don't always walk the Christian path as well as I ought to. But I'm going to offer you some ideas from the Bible that helped me, and I hope it helps you. 5 basic things, and I'll get through kind of quickly. Number 1, remember, in the Bible, the greatest people listed in the Bible have had their doubts. We talked about David a while ago, the man after God's own heart that said, my God, why have you forsaken me? Not my people or anything else, but me. He felt picked on by God or somebody, or at least that God left him out there hanging high and dry. And you're going to feel like that sometimes. It's just going to happen. The apostles. If you've read any of the Gospels, that story with Peter, and he's out there in the boat, and the Lord comes up walking on the water. That's cool. And Peter, the gutsy guy, says, hey, Lord, call me out there. Let me join you. And so he does. Come on out, Peter. You feel like it? And he gets out of the boat, and he walks on the water. I wish Matthew had just added one more thing. He walked 100 yards, or however far he walked, or 5 feet. Just give me an idea. How far was he from the boat before he got toward Jesus? I'm guessing some distance. And he looked around. The Bible says he saw the wind, the waves, and all that stuff. And Matthew says, and he started freaking out. Well, he doesn't say it exactly like that, but it's similar. He got scared. And he started doubting. And he started seeking. And he cried out to Jesus, help me. Reaches out his hand, he pulls him up. And what did Jesus say to him? Oh, ye of little faith. Hold it, wait a minute. Pause. There's 11 guys in the boat over here. Nobody else got out. But he's talking to Peter right now. Great old Peter had his moments of having just a little faith. He didn't get out of the boat. His faith was great. He walked on the water. His faith was great, and he sank. And so you're going to have those walk on the water moments and those I'm sinking down moments. And one's going to come almost right after the other sometimes. And you're going to get mad at yourself. You're going to feel sick inside. You're going to wonder if your faith is real. You're going to call into question everything you've ever done, any prayer you've said, place that you've done, things you thought, or what you've read. And you're going to maybe even say, does God exist or not? Now, what just the apostles? There's a long list of just about anybody through the Bible. I don't have time to talk about a lot of it. Walter, sorry, I'd love to do some Old Testament passages because I know how much you love the prophets. And Elijah's one of them. I know. I can hear him talking to me. But we're not going to talk to Walter tonight. All right, so that's one. Number two, when you get into these moments, you got to come to yourself. And what do you mean by that? There's a story about a prodigal son that's described in the book of Luke. The guy that was the younger brother that goes to his dad and he asks for all of his inheritance, and his dad gives it to him. Now think about this just a moment. What kind of a scoundrel this guy is. He steps in front of the older brother who has the right for the inheritance. He asks for half of it before dad is dead. Y'all still have a parent, dad living? Yes? I know. Sometimes you don't. Mine did, but he didn't. Okay? Truthful, that was some issues in life too. But you imagine walking up there while he's only 45, 50 years old and saying, hey, Dad, I want my inheritance today. If you croak, that'd be okay, but if not, I still want my inheritance. And I want it now. This is what the guy did. Guts. But his dad gives it to him. And he takes off and he's gone. And, if you remember the story, he wastes every bit of it in just the wildest life you could imagine. He'd be drugs, women, and everything else that he was describing it today. Having a good old time until he ran out of money. And after he ran out of money, he started working to try to survive, and it didn't go well. Because what he was giving the pigs was better than what he was eating. And as he's feeding me, he said, I wish I had divided what I'm giving to the pigs. Literally, go back and look at the passage. He longed to eat what the pigs were eating. And then, the passage says, and he came to himself. It's like, oh. You could say it's the aha moment, or it's the duh moment, or whatever you want to call it. The moment you really realize who you are and where you're at. You need to come to that moment. Come to yourself. When you're getting beaten down by the professors, when the world is tearing you down, and you feel like nobody's having to struggle with what all I've got, come to yourself and say, wait a minute. I'm not as bad off as I'm making this party all out to be for myself. I can remember days that I was hearing about people in Nicaragua that had dirt floors and they had bread and they had water and they were rejoicing. They had something that day. Or on and on. I get my pity parties sometimes till I walk down the street and I see a guy in a wheelchair and he's got legs down to here and no more. And he's about my age, and I'm thinking, yeah, stepped on a landmine in Vietnam. I did too. Mine didn't go off. I don't have it as bad. There's a lot of these people out there in the world. So come to yourself. And I mean this very seriously. When you're going through the struggles, stop and think, really, is it this bad? If I'm going to die today, that'd still be okay too, but I'm probably not going to. And I've had a breakup, or the professor's dumped all this crud on me, or any number of things. And it's usually not one, it's more like 100. And it feels like 1,000. And yet, you're still surviving. So you got to come to yourself. And you got to decide, am I going to sit here or am I going to march? I spent a tour in Vietnam in the infantry. They used to take us out in helicopters, just the whole group, our unit, and they'd drop us in the middle of the jungle. And you had your backpack, which had your food, your ammunition, your water, and that was about it. And they just said, you're on your own, you got your guys leading you. Basically, our job was to kill whatever we found, not animals, okay? Search and destroy. That was our mission. But the first time I picked up that rucksack and put it on my back, I had to have help to get up. That's how much it weighed. Not same size now as I was back then. I just kicked. So you can imagine, and you're out there in the field, and I couldn't hardly walk carrying the thing. And the guy's putting it on my back, and he says, tell you what, when you get out there in the jungle, he says, you got two options. You can either sit down because you're tired, or you can march. Guess what option you choose? You march. Even if you feel tired, like, I can't believe that you just march. So you come to yourself, and you realize this is where I'm stuck. This is what I've got. The world might be falling in on you, and everything's dumped on me, and it'll be like that. And I've got two options. I can either sit here or I can march. I'm not going to choose a march that I'm not willing to march with. And I'm certainly not going to sit here. So you got, first of all, come to yourself. Then along with that, you got to nail yourself down. I'm giving you some weird phrases, but I think this is the best way I can communicate this. And I'll tell you why I come to this. Because there have been a couple times this is God's word is, I had to start at the question, is it God's word or not? And there's a lot of passages you can go to, particularly in the Old Testament, that make statements that man didn't know back in the day that it was written. They call it scientific foreknowledge. That's the fancy term of it. They knew to write it down before science discovered it. One of them, just one, is Psalm 8, verse 8. You can remember 8. Go back and look in Psalms there, where it talks about the fish that swim in the paths of the sea. And yet science, or all of those nautical people back in those days, didn't even know about the currents in the ocean. But a guy in the 1800s named Matthew Fontaine Murray, who was sick in bed, had his nephew reading to him one day. And he was reading through Psalms, and he read through the Psalm passage, and it starts out beautiful. Oh Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name. And he's reading, and then comes to that with the fish that swim through the paths of the sea. And he says, wait a minute. I traveled by boat all the time. I never heard of paths. Read that again. It says paths of the sea. It says, got to be there because the Bible says it's there. Now, nobody else had ever thought there were paths in the sea. It never dawned on anybody. But this guy says, if it's there, it's there. I'm going to find it. And so he sought out and discovered the currents that travel in the ocean and became what's commonly called the father of modern nautical engineering. Because of a Bible verse that nobody knew about, but it was there. And there's a bunch of verses in the scriptures that are written that couldn't have been put there by man. So I start there and I nail myself down. This has to be written by God. It can't be written by man. And then I'm standing nailed down on that, and I say, okay, if this is what God says, then the rest of it is his too. Now I've got a foot to stand on and a foundation. And so that's what I'm talking about here. So you've got to figure out, number one, you've got to come to yourself and have that discussion. And then you nail yourself down. So where am I standing? And then I had a couple important talks. First one I had was with God. And I talked to him about the struggles I'm having. I knew he knew, and he knew how bad I was feeling. Tried to get that right. And then I had to talk with Satan. I can remember being in my backyard in Argentina. And the houses are built real close to each other, a lot right on top of one another. They have walls in between. So I had a giant wall behind me and walls on the side. And I'm sure they thought that guy's a lunatic. But I was screaming as loud as I could to Satan, I am not giving up. Now you talk about a crazy preacher. But I had a talk with God, and I had a talk with Satan. Because I knew he was after me. So just realize what's happening there. Because God's there and Satan's there. So you have a talk with one who's on your side, and you plead your case because you know he's going to take care of you, and then you let the other guy know, I'm standing my ground. You're not going to take me down. I may feel like it sometimes, but I will get up, and God will help me, and I'm going to keep on. So have those talks. And figure out where you're at. And then after that, you got to repeat over and over steps 2, 3, and 4. Just to get out of the hole. And to keep on going. It's Satan's goal to cause you to doubt God. Genesis chapter 3, in the garden, the first time Satan appears, he shows up to Eve and he says, God doesn't really mean that. Don't trust him. You see? Is that not an old trick? But it works well. Doesn't it? But just remember, other people have gone through that, some great people. And just be one of those. And so, you come to yourself. You nail yourself down. Then you have those talks, and you keep on going. I believe it's Mark 9:24. Jesus is having a talk with a father whose son is possessed by a demon. Jesus says, do you want this boy to be healed? He said, yes. He says, do you believe? He said, I do believe. And then he says, help my unbelief. Because we all have that, you see. I believe, but I don't think I'm going to get there if I don't get some help in that belief area. So we got to do that. Got to figure out who we are and have some good talks. Come to yourself. Nail yourself down. And stand strong with God. And let Satan know you're at. You're not the only one that deals with this. We all do. And if somebody says they don't, they're a liar. But you can make it. A day at a time. Someday you'll be old like me. And you think, boy, how did I do this? And you say, well, he's right. I still have some doubts, but I made it. Step at a time. God bless you.
All right, everybody. Circle up like usual. You guys in the back corners will get the lights for me. Turn it back on. That's a bad idea, that's it.
Look at me, sunlight.
Yeah. Hey, forget it close. Can we turn on that hall light? There you go. Now you can turn that off.
Who's gonna take the first step? I It smells so good.
Talk to you in a while.
All right, hit that light. So many songs. What's the song?
Songs? Okay, well, here's the common love.
Common love for each other, common gift to the Savior, a common bond, holding us to the Lord, a common strength when we're weary, a common hope for tomorrow, a common joy
come before you now with nothing but thanks. So we thank you so much for the Student Center. We thank you so much for everyone here. We thank you for the opportunities that are presented to us, not only as students here at UTC, but through the Student Center, through opportunities that you give us to not only share your word and show your love, Lord, but just to be Christians to everyone we possibly can. Lord, we're trying to do that to the absolute best of our ability. Lord, we have struggles. We know that you know that. We know that you're here with us, and you're here helping us fight through those struggles, helping us fight through those doubts, helping us to be reassured in not only your presence, but your love and your care and your passion for each and every one of us, Lord. Lord, we just pray that we do the steps that we need to do to remind ourselves of that on a daily basis and continue to stay in your word, to stay showing your love, and to stay growing closer to you. Lord, we love you. We thank you so much. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Remember, there's a fall retreat meeting in the back. There are no chairs, so bring a chair with you, please, when you go back there.
If you're going to the fall retreat, you've got to come to this meeting. Grab a chair if you're going back.
Are you going to fall retreat? See you later, Liz.
Let me get a notepad.
Okay, I mean,
I was picking on him. I said, this guy anyway. Also, I'm raising your hand. You didn't get anybody.